elected, then you will get your $1,200 check or whatever it may be. Joining us from UHD, University of Houston downtown, is Dietrich von Bietenfeld. Glad to have you here on The Factor Uncensored. So is the president dangling this little stimulus check in front of our faces saying, if you vote for me, then I'll have your stimulus check right after the election?
Absolutely. And this could be a negotiation strategy to sort of align some of that reconciliation between the House and Senate proposals, where essentially they're about $1 trillion off of what the GOP want the bill to be. So the president is head of that party, and the president wants something substantially smaller than the multi-trillion-dollar package proposed by the Democrats in the House. And so this could be a negotiation strategy to bring them to the table with a reduced stimulus amount or a reduced package. However, it could also be a political tool to say, you have to vote for me if you want this money.
Well, I would go with the latter because he actually said that. Once I win the election or win re-election, then you will get your stimulus check.
And one of the challenges with this presidency is this is a social media sort of dominating, particularly in the Twitter realm. We see statements that don't always align and that are actually oftentimes contradictory. And so in one statement, there will be a I'm walking away. In the next tweet, you'll see something saying, if they do this, then I will come back. So there's a bit of potential strategy here. There's a ton of politics and hyperpartisanship, but there's also the fact that this president has consistently been inconsistent in the messaging that you see in the tweet. So 9 minutes later, after you see that, you're going to look again and see something that says something completely different.
While Trump is the president, that officially makes him head of the Republican Party right now. So how are members and the leadership of the Republican Party responding to his latest effort to hold off on stimulus checks until the election is over, until he wins the election? How are they responding to this, the other Republicans, if at all?
Right, and much of their public discourse, what you'll find oftentimes is your public discourse is going to be limited because people tend to lockstep in this hyperpartisan environment where they support their party regardless. But behind closed doors, each of these individuals has a respective district or state that he or she is representing. And those voters who are looking at potential layoffs, those voters who are looking at evictions, those voters who are looking at bankruptcy, right? Diminished credit score. So if you have a problem on your credit score, that's going to be 7 years of harm that this delay could be causing you, much past this next presidential cycle of 4 years.
So and they have to go back and explain this to their constituents despite what the president says.
Yes, sir. And
how difficult will that be for them? Will this harm some of them politically?
I believe so. If they can't get moving, I think maybe in this election cycle it's a little bit close to the November election period where many of the fundraising dollars have already been allocated and many of these individuals have already sort of secured their votes. People have decided in many ways who they're voting for. However, I think in the next election cycle in particular, this sort of intransigence, this sort of lack of strategic vision on the part of our elected leadership is going to cost many incumbents as we look at these involuntary furloughs, as we look at evictions, foreclosures, and similar recession effects caused by this inaction.
All right. Dietrich von Bietenfeld from UHD, thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored, and this situation is mind-blowing. We'll be back with more.